Morning. One second, just getting my devices set up here. Get the echo off. Good morning. Welcome in. Everybody read the show notes. And in the show notes, there are 5-starred bullets. If you're new to me, make sure you take a screenshot of those 5-starred bullets. Also, note my YouTube channel address or username. YouTube channel username. It's next to the little talking head. If you want to be able to rewatch or watch some of my previous seller chats, make sure you have that copied as well. And welcome in. Who do we have here? We have Shell, Jen's, Tweety, Fira Girl, Thrifty Nana, Mahana is here. Thanks for joining. All right, let me get. Yep, good morning, everyone. All right, auction tab. So if you click the shop button on your screen, shop button right there on your screen, and then instead of going to the buy it now, go to the auction. And there are 14 different documents in there that you can copy and copy all the pages of those documents. And some of them have multiple, some are just one. But there's all kinds of really good tips and tricks and good stuff for you to help you. And so, yeah. So it's tough right now on Whatnot. Gonna be honest. Blunt, honest. It's tough. The economy's well, I don't know that the economy's bad. It's just in question. People are unsure about things. And we have so much negativity going on. And so people are just worried and are holding on to money a little bit more tightly. So it's tough right now. And you're going to have some endurance on the app. So even those who have in the past been doing really well, some people are struggling. So what do you do about it? Well, here's what I did yesterday. So yesterday, in my category, I sell mostly in fabric under arts and crafts, craft supplies, fabric, quilting, sewing, fabric. That's the category I sell in. And I counted how many shows there were on the schedule for today. There are 90 shows scheduled starting at like 5:30 in the morning my time all the way until like 10:30 at night. 90 shows. When I first started selling in that category on the app 3 years ago, you had space where there was no show, like nothing scheduled. There were only, a handful of us. So there's a ton more sellers in every category. There are some newer categories that there may not be as many in, but that also means there's not as many buyers because anytime they bring or add a new category, then they also have to start getting the word out about that type of item available. So, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because you have to constantly change and do what you need to do if you want to continue to grow on the app. And, you just have to decide what it's worth to you, the amount of time you can put in, And it doesn't necessarily equate to more time on the outside, but it may equate to a lot more time doing live shows. Because one of the best ways that you can be found and be relevant and be on here is to be consistent and be live as much as possible, because that's how you get found. You've got to have a lot of shows scheduled and you've got to come on and be live. So you just have to decide, you know, but you also have to continually try to do things to stand out, to be noticed. So yesterday was a tough day. Normally, I stream for about 3 to 4 hours. We stayed live for 6.5 hours to do the same amount in that time that we did normally in a 3 to 4 hour show. I'm tired. But you have to decide if you're going to do what it takes, because some days that's what it takes. Okay. So you just have to decide. Yeah, that's, what are you going to put in is what you're going to get out. So, and it's still, you have to compare to reselling on other platforms and decide, you can do burn, the slow burn, and, do some of the other platforms where you list and wait. You decide. Jello cat test. Cat's attic. Jello cat's attic. How does your equipment hold out? Does your phone get too hot? I have, what is my iPhone? I think it's an iPhone 14. I don't know. It's a newer one. I don't have it the newest, but my battery has always drained bad. I keep it plugged in, but I've never had the problem of it getting too hot and having to, take it off and, shut down because it's starting to, like you get the hot warning or whatever. I've never had that happen. So, you may need to put a fan. You may need to get a new phone, honestly, because some phones do better than others. But live streaming does eat your battery and does heat up. So you'll have to just experiment with that. Because, yeah, that's another thing that happens. So, yeah, I always upgrade as soon as I can financially, and I always keep it plugged in or plug it in shortly, within the hour of starting a show, so that you don't have the problem of it going dead. The other day, my husband, we're doing an estate sale at a different location, and he thought he had plugged it in, and he had actually plugged in the wrong thing. And I did not even see a battery warning light come on. It just went dead. So we're sitting there doing our show, and it just went bloop. We had all our other devices on so we could see, and I just had to type in chat, hold on, phone went dead, so it happens. But yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. All right. So yeah, if you have questions, comments, put them in the chat. And they sell mini magnet fans. Oh, that's good to know. So it like clips or not clips, but it adheres to your phone and has a little fan on it. Interesting. Is it like the ones that will go, how you can have that magnetic case that will go on a charger? Does it clip to that? Yours gets really hot. It's a Samsung Galaxy 24. Okay, yeah. Oh, like a ring. Yeah. Cool. Huh. So there you go. That's a possibility. Get one of those little fans. I will say honestly that for the way that they do programming and other things and updates, they definitely favor iPhone. So I don't know, I mean, they do their best to try and get all the updates and all the, features across all platforms. That's always their goal. But programming is kind of a nightmare. Anyone in here ever done programming? So when you're having to program an app and make it work on web version and on iPhone, Apple products, and on Android, it can be a pretty tough task to do. So, yeah. I have my first show scheduled for Wednesday. What's your top advice for a brand new whatnot seller? How long ago did you get approved? Do you still get some incentive for boost for your first show? Because if you do, take advantage of that, first of all. Have you been on your networking? Because that's the key, honestly, with becoming new. If you hopefully you've been on here networking. So you were approved like a year ago of being a chicken. Okay, so you've been on networking then, right? So do you have a pretty good following already because you've just been on buying and networking? So let me get you followed and let's go look at your profile. So not too shabby, 279 followers. My first tip is you need to schedule more than one show. So you've got one show scheduled, love it, but you should have 10 shows scheduled because you've got to have something for people to come back to. So that would be my first advice is schedule about 10 more shows so that people can bookmark. Yeah, if you already know you're going to try and go live at a certain schedule, just schedule your next show and have it scheduled because you can schedule 10 at a time with the same settings. So you can just drop down that little does not repeat, change it to weekly, and then do 10 shows. And then you'll have, hey, like it, swipe it. How are you? Welcome in. Yeah, so just do that. When you go to schedule, there's a little thing under the date, the calendar thing that says does not repeat. And you change it to that you do want to repeat. And then you tell it because you can do daily, weekly, monthly. And you just change that to weekly. And then how many. You can also do multiple times a week, but usually you leave that at 1 and then you say up to 10 shows and it will just put it on the next week that you're going to do your show and then do 10 shows. You're just checking out all your friends. Well, welcome in. I was just telling people you need to be networking. She asked what's advice for the first show. Well, hopefully you've been networking, but also schedule multiple shows so that people can bookmark. So everyone give Allison Pop Thrift a follow and bookmark her first show. So I just got it bookmarked. She's doing let's see, thrift finds, tops, dresses, skirts, jeans, activewear, and more. $5 starts, 15-second sudden death. I like that you already put an expectation of the starting bid because people like that because they need to, kind of like to know what. And then you put some brands. That's good. It's a tough category, clothing. It's very crowded. Most clothing sellers have found a niche, something that they kind of become the expert in, a type of clothing, a brand, some kind of niche, and you'll decide if that's something you want to do to kind of narrow down and specialize. I have been told that a lot of people in that category start promoting because that's the only way to get found. I have mixed feelings about promoting. I've tried it a couple times. I didn't feel like it was worth the value. Um, but some people tell me they promote every single show. If you go live once a week, that may or may not be, if you want to try it, then you look at the analytics afterwards and make sure it makes sense. So, yeah. I would get a backdrop behind your little logo so that you kind of, have people have something to look at on your profile. Awesome. Have a great day, Jello. You are welcome. Thanks for stopping in. So yeah, everybody give each other a follow that's here. The best thing you can do for each other in shows like this, honestly, is just start networking with each other because it's a safe forum for you to share your shows, ask for follows, ask for bookmarks. It's not as safe to do that in just every regular show unless the seller is telling you it's fine and go for it, you know? So make sure you do some networking in shows like this. So, yeah, support other sellers is a must. Like it, swipe it. Yep. Have good moderators and have lots of shows scheduled. But yeah, networking is key, honestly. And then, my top 10 tips, number 1 is schedule shows. Number 2, go live. Be consistent, go live. My number 3 tip is, wow, which one is number 3? I just forgot. Number 3 is list items. When you're new, people need to see what you're going to sell. Not as important once you're established, but I still think it's important to have things. But once you're established, you're going to have some stuff listed and people are going to kind of know. But otherwise, anyone coming new, they don't know you. They don't know what you have had in the past. I mean, they might see that you're successful, have 5 stars, lots of follows, and have sold a lot of crap, but that doesn't mean anything to them as far as do they have what I want to buy. So having things listed is important when you're new and somewhat important when you're more established, just so you can continue to attract new buyers. So I think you should always have some stuff listed in both your shop, marketplace shop, 24/7 listings, your auctions, and your buy it now. I still go into lots and lots and lots of shows and they have no buy it now items. You are missing out on a lot of potential sales if you don't have buy it now. You're leaving money on the table every show if you don't have buy it now items, especially starting this time of year. People start watching for gifts, things they can pick up, good deals to give away as gifts. You need to have items in your shop. Moon and Honey, I can't seem to get more than a few viewers. What category are you selling in, Moon? How do you put all the items in your shop from one show to another? My first show is Saturday, and you'd like to make a second show. So you go into Seller Hub, shows, past shows, and you open the past show once you've had that show and you clone. There's a button to clone, and then you select everything that you want to clone over from the previous show, and it will only show items that did not sell. So you don't have the issue of, pulling things over that already sold, and it won't even display those. You just click the little box. You can select all, or you can go through individually and select the items you want to clone. And then you just go down and hit clone. And you already have to have the show scheduled, obviously, but you tell it which show you want it to clone over to. And then you just hit that, and it takes all your inventory from the previous show, that did not sell that you clicked and throws it into the new show. So Seller Hub, shows, past shows, pick the past show you want to clone items from. And it sounds like you only have one. So you're just going to click that show. And then you're going to put in the show that you want to clone the items to and select the items. And then down at the bottom, you hit clone and it carries them over. It's that simple. You do have to do that on web version. So on a computer or a laptop. Okay. There is a long version way around that. You can go into your inventory on a mobile device, Seller Hub inventory, and go through each item until you want to add it to that show. But that's a longer way around to do it. Okay. All right. So baby and kids just started this weekend. Okay. So do what I did yesterday. Go through under baby and kids and do an experiment and tell me how many shows there are in that category on a given day. I'm guessing it's pretty competitive. I don't shop in that category because I don't have, well, I do have a granddaughter, but my daughter-in-law has overbought and over received gifts. So I don't go shopping for baby clothes anymore because we have closets full. But so go and see how many sellers are live every day. You may consider promoting to see if that helps. Also, you need to stand out. So start going into shows and that you've never been in before, maybe in a similar category, and start watching. And you also need to be networking in the baby clothes shows. You know, just be there, show up, make comments. How you doing? Make sure you're rating into those shows regularly. But go into shows and write down, why did I want to stay? Why did I want to leave? It's very eye-opening. It helps you to understand what you need to start doing differently to get an audience and make people want to stay. Okay. So do that experiment. With more competition brings, more need for you to be creative, inventive. You do need to make sure you're staying within terms of service. I am seeing a lot of people break terms of service when it comes to mystery, trying to do mystery stuff, because that's a lot of fun, but you have to make sure you follow the rules, or you'll end up in big trouble. So go read the rules about surprise sets, is what it's called. Surprise sets. So you have to make sure you follow the rules on that because it's considered gambling if you don't follow the rules. But yes, so it's a competitive category. So you need to just go to help.whatnot.com, type in terms of service, and go through and read. But for that specific thing, you can type in surprise sets and you can read the rules. So just help.whatnot.com, type in surprise sets, and you can read the rules. So in the show notes, there are 5-star bullets. Those are all of the official places that you can go to get help. So the Whatnot seller account, the Whatnot YouTube account, help.whatnot.com, Seller Academy, and the Whatnot blog. Those are all the official places. You should always go to the official source first. So if you're asking questions about things that happen on Whatnot, go to Whatnot to get the answer, right? Don't go listen to Joe Blow on some Facebook group who doesn't know what the heck they're talking about. In fact, I avoid Discord, I avoid the Facebook groups. It's a lot of yuck. I do stay connected a little bit on one that has to do with shipping just so I can help answer questions. But yeah, you get a lot of bad information, a lot of bad advice, and there's a lot of negativity, and I don't need that. So yeah. All right, let me make sure I didn't miss any questions. Let's see. Do I feel like once a week is reasonable starting out? It just depends on what you want to do, what your trajectory is. If you want to shoot the moon, you're going to have to go live, more often than once a week. It just depends on your goals. I tell everybody, write down your goal. What's your goal? If your goal is just make a little bit extra money to support my buying habits, once a week's probably fine. If your goal is I need a significant amount of side gig income, and so, I need, X amount of dollars every month to help pay my bills, you're going to have to go live a little bit more often. If your goal is in X amount of months, I want to go full time on Whatnot and quit my job, whole different ball game. You're probably going to need to do, some real power commitment to time and money to get it going, get it off the ground. So it just depends on your goal. So write down your goal and then have what you do match what your goal is. Because you can't expect to, do a certain level of business if you're only able to go live, once a week or whatever. So it just depends on your goal. Okay. That makes sense. Most people who are, doing Whatnot full time go live 5 to 10 times a week, depending on what they're doing. So if you look at my schedule, so I'm full time on Whatnot. We made the decision that we wanted to do that. We sold a company 2 years ago. I still had a part-time job that I worked until June of last year. So it's been a year and almost a half since I quit that job. And we are on Whatnot full time. Look at my schedule. You have to commit a lot of time. You've got to put in full time or more hours to be able to get out a full time income. So it just depends on your goal. Okay. So if you look at my schedule, we do selling wise, I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, usually 4 or 5 shows a week. And then I also do my seller chats, my walk and talks 2 times a week. So I'm on here, 6 days a week. We take Wednesdays off and Sundays off, but sometimes I do community chats on Wednesdays, and sometimes we plug in another show, and sometimes I have raid trainings. So, in any given week, I'm doing 7 or more shows. So it just depends on what you can do. Okay. Pixie says, I have items I shipped on 9/26 and the tracking states that the item is held at the final destination. Should I do something? It's not a bad idea to message the buyer and let them know, that they need to check the tracking and see, because maybe it's that they tried to deliver and the person wasn't whatever the case is, and then they need to go pick it up or something. Yeah. Like it, swipe, it says, I work full time and I've excelled on here just fine. If I can do it, so can you. Yeah. But how much time do you put in after work? That's the key. So you have a full time job, but then you're dedicating a good amount of time to building your business. Yeah, it's like a second full time job. Exactly. So, it just depends on, because, even if you want to do a certain amount, if you literally can't, then don't kill yourself trying. Be okay with what you can do. Yeah, it's not a joke. We work really hard. You get out what you put in. Absolutely. And there's some weeks where I'm just like, what have I done to myself? Because it's a lot of work. But, you know, the beauty of it is the flexibility that you're your own boss. You get to decide how you want to do it. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, if you're not having fun doing shows, reassess either, how you're doing it or what you're selling, and decide if it's what for you. This isn't for everybody, and that's okay. Because if you're not having fun, it's not going to work. Eventually, you're going to get burned out and it's not going to work. So, look at my little document that I have that I share, the 5 F's. Let me pin that and read it to you. So, the 5 F's, these are my rules for attracting buyers and keeping people in your show. What's my number one tip? Fun. You need to have fun. This is a huge amount of the time people spend on here is for entertainment. The shopping, buying part of it is secondary. People come on the app regularly and then get talked into buying stuff, right? Or see something, they're like, oh, dang, I need that, or I want that, right? But it's entertainment. It's entertainment. This is replacing stuff they used to do. Maybe they used to sit on the couch and watch TV. Maybe they used to go on YouTube more. Maybe they used to be on other social media platforms. They're coming here for entertainment. And then, oh, by the way, they also buy things. Yeah. That's why you give so many fat quarters. Yeah. For real, every day. Yeah, I keep saying I'm going to slow down, but here we are. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, you got to have fun. That's my number one thing. If your shows aren't fun, that may be why no one's coming, no one's staying. So reevaluate. You've got to have some passion about what you're selling, and you've got to make it fun for people to want to stay. Do you have to be, a stand-up comedian? No. Because you've got to be genuinely you as well, because that will come through if you're not. But you've got to be enjoying what you're doing, enjoying the process. Because I'll be honest with you, it's addicting and it is a lot of fun. So if you're not feeling that, something's wrong, something's missing. It might be how you're doing it, what you're doing, what you're selling. Something's missing if you're not having fun. Okay. The second F is fast pace. You've got to have shows that go at a good enough clip that people don't get bored and swipe out. Okay, so you got to keep showing them something new. I mean, nowadays with technology, everybody has the attention span of a gnat. So you're having to try and keep all the gnats in your show. Keep them there with how fast you change things up. That doesn't mean you have to do 5-second sudden death auctions and show something new every 3 seconds, but that doesn't add up, does it? but fast enough pace that there's something new to see regularly, something to keep them in the show. Okay. Yeah, you can always reschedule. You can always, decide this time and day just isn't working, switch to a different time, try new things. That's the other thing too. You've constantly got to be able to try new things. Try a different day, try a different time, try a different way of doing it, try a different setup. Um, it may partly be how you have it all set up and it drags and you're not enjoying it and you're unorganized. Being prepared is key. Getting a nice setup that has a nice workflow that works for you so that you can, keep the show moving and you can find things and all of that stuff. And that's a real struggle. I mean, everybody struggles with that. And then even if you have it down pat, inevitably they'll do some kind of update that screws it all up how you had it set up, right? So, yeah. No, you're good. I like your comments. It helps keep the chat lively. So, we need people putting in their 2 cents. And then the third F is findings. You have to have good stuff. And I don't know the answer to that. You have to decide what good stuff is based on what you're trying to sell. What is the good stuff in your category? What's trending? What do people want? If you don't have a good, thumb on that, and people don't want what you're showing and selling, even if they're not buying, you've got to be showing the kind of stuff they like to see, and then that's when every once in a while, I'm not buying. Oh, dang, look what she's showing. I guess I'm buying. Right? Crazy stitching lady, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. And don't always come to my shows and expect to see the number one example of everything I talk about, because we all are real. We're all real people. We all have our struggles, but if you look at my stats, I've done pretty well. We've made the decision not to grow a lot more than we already are at. But that's a real struggle because it's hard. You can't be stagnant. You can't stand still because, like I said, the competition gets fiercer and fiercer. But we made the decision that we don't want to have to hire people to do our shipping or rent storage. Right now, everything we sell is in our house. I won't show you my house, but we're empty nesters, so I can do that. My daughter just moved out to college this year, and she was already not loving how much stuff we had, but I kept it to a minimum while she was here. And, but we have a lot of stuff. I mean, fortunately, I have a big house, so that helps. But yeah, my house looks like a hoarder house because I have bins everywhere full of fabric and other stuff. So yeah, you've got to, decide what you want to do. And we've made that decision for now that we don't want to have to hire people, pay to store stuff. And, but it's hard to stay at a certain level because, the competition continues to get fierce. Oh, you took over your son's room and my 1,600 feet downstairs. Yeah, it's not just you. Not just you. Oh, he went to university last year. Yeah, exactly. But not everybody has that luxury. If you're in a time of life where you've still got kids at home, and you don't have room, then you do what you can do and be okay with it and still have fun, have a fast-paced show, have good findings. We have sellers in our category that are in that time of life, and they do what they can do, and they still have great shows. And because they have great shows, when they do go live once or twice a week or sometimes even less, people show up. So it just depends on, what your situation is. Yeah, props for people with kids. Yeah, there's no way I could have done this when my kids were little. I would have had to do shows in the middle of the night and hope they didn't wake up. So, yeah. Hey, Faye West, welcome in. So, yeah. And then the last one, or the last two on this 5Fs, fulfillment. No matter how fun, fast paced, and great stuff you have, if you can't do timely shipping and provide great customer service, you may have a couple of good weeks or months, and then it's going to all go swirling down the drain because you don't ship on time and people don't like that you don't give good customer service. So, yeah. Let's see. What's your advice for giveaways? I do a nice giveaway and someone somehow wins the giveaway that didn't buy. Yeah, because people can fill out the forms. So here's my advice. List the giveaway as a surprise item that you will show live, because you're allowed to show it and tell what it is, but you don't have to specifically list exactly what it is. You can maybe hide it in the description if you want to. And then the Gibby Goblins aren't going to come fill out forms for your items because they don't know what it is and they're not going to bother to come watch your show. Because you're showing it live, it's being shown and told and described to the audience who's there, but not pre-shown and everything to the people who aren't there. And then you can also run it and then draw it fast. So everybody that's a buyer, get in, give them, 20 seconds or whatever to all get in there and then pull it early. Yeah, because it takes a couple of minutes to go fill out that form unless they did it beforehand. So, yeah. So pull it early, and then it hopefully will mostly reward your buyers. And you can also spread it out so that they have no idea when you're going to run it. Kind of keep that a mystery a little bit so that they don't know when you're going to run those giveaways. Spread them out throughout your show, and then you're less likely to have the Gibby Goblins coming if they know when you're going to run it. Does that make sense? So yeah, there's some strategies you can do for that. And also follower giveaways are important when you're new because you're trying to get new followers, and do things that you can send in an envelope so that it only costs you, right now I think it's 78 cents. So you can do small amount gift cards, you can do stickers, you can do ephemera, you can do bookmarks, you can do, there's all kinds of things you can do that can be flat, sent in an envelope, don't cost you much to send. If you're normally spending $4 or $5 to send someone something, instead invest that $4 or $5 into gift cards and send them in an envelope for 78 cents. So, and if you need the instructions for how to do the envelope shipping for your giveaways, the envelope shipping guide is right here. I need to improve this. It's kind of old and hard to read, but I just haven't had time. But the 3 keys for that is you have to have it set up in your shipping settings in your show. Turn on that plain white envelope option. It's called USPS First Class. It's the very first thing in the shipping settings. You have to have that toggled on in your shipping settings. If you toggle it on in your main, like Seller Hub shipping, it will, and there's a little box at the very bottom of the screen that you need to check to update it to all your existing shows. That's the easy way to just add it to all your existing shows. Otherwise, you need to open every individual show and update the shipping settings in the show. And then the second thing is you need to choose the category of either stickers or trading cards. Just use stickers. That's the easiest, unless you actually sell trading cards. And then do 0 to 1 ounce as your weight for the shipping. And then just pay attention to the dimensions that you have to stay within. So it can be like a regular business envelope, the kind your bills come in, that's like an 11 by 5, I don't know, size envelope. Or it can be like a regular greeting card size envelope. Just don't get the ones that say, requires extra postage, oversized. So there are dimensions that you have to stay within for your envelope. And it does have to be flat, and it can't be thicker than 1/4 of an inch. So there you go. And that's what I do for all my giveaways. It's all under the envelope shipping price, so that you're only having to pay that price. Hey, B. Haynes, good morning. You are so welcome. Yeah, we do try to ship fast. We either ship same day or next morning after shows, and that's important to get your stuff out and on its way for people to be happy. So we always try to do that. Does that print out in the shipping label? The envelopes, yes. When you do envelope shipping, it prints the labels out. It just looks different. It doesn't look the same as a package shipping label. It just has, because it's not tracked. So that's the other thing, is envelopes are not tracked. So if you're doing giveaways or small items, make sure that you say right in the listing, if you do anything that ships envelope, tell them right in the listing, if you buy this separately on its own, it will be coming to you in an envelope. So it comes snail mail, which is, envelope. Takes a little bit longer than packages. So yeah. But the thing is if hopefully the idea is if they come in your show and win a giveaway, they're also going to buy something. So then you're just sending it with the other items they bought. And then you're not, you paid a little bit of their shipping, but you aren't paying, for the $4 to $6 for an item that goes in a package. Yeah. So yeah, much better deal. Yeah, anything that you can't send in an envelope, you're having to pay the, $4 to $6 ground advantage rate, because there's a base rate for shipping. So you have to pay that, even if you have 0 to 1 ounce. If you don't have it under sticker or trading card, it will charge you that higher amount. So make sure it's in the right category, and that you have 0 to 1 ounce, and that you have that turned on in your shipping settings. Those 3 things. Okay. Yeah, and inevitably people will come on here and say, it didn't work. Well, and I'll ask them, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do this? And they missed one of those 3 things. So yeah, so make sure you hit all 3 of those things to make it work. Hey, Never Miss Finds, welcome in. Thanks for being in our shows, for all your purchases. Yes, networking is huge, you guys. And I'll be honest with you, I have had to cut back a little bit on networking, just because I had to control my spending. Because I have noticed that I have a problem with trying to go network without buying. Admitting the truth, right? But you can do it. Just discipline yourself. And instead of buying, throw tips. Go into your favorite sellers, give out a few $1 to $5 tips instead of buying something. That goes a long way with networking as well. And also raid, always raid and do good strategic raids that are going to get your name out there, you know, and good sellers will always shout you out, make a big deal out of the fact that you raided, no matter how many people you raid with. I never call out small raids. I love every raid, whether it's one person or 50 people or more. Always treat someone who raids like gold, because they are. They are gold, because it's a huge deal to have someone care enough to go and, bother to come and bring their audience to your show. So always be really great about that. Yes, like Awesome Aaron. I try to do that too if I can. Take time to go to their profile, share their show, share their, if you have an extra phone, show their profile, or at very least, read it, tell people what they sell, when their next show is. Yeah, take a minute to do that. Run a giveaway if you can. Yeah, make a big deal out of it. How do you program a raid? Yeah, don't worry about feeling weird. Just do it anyway, Tamara, because it makes a difference. I'm not sure what you mean by program a raid. How do you do a raid? Instead of ending, you just hit raid. So on your screen, so here's my screen. You just hit the little down arrow and see your options: minimize, create a raid, or end. So instead of hitting end, you just create a raid. I'll show you what the screen looks like. It pops up like this. It gives you suggestions, people you've rated before or whatever. And then you can click it over to new sellers if you want. That's funny. New sellers, Corey Max, #1. Nope. That's hilarious. Anyway, so you can change that. You can also type in a name of the person you want to rate if you've gone to see, make sure they're live. It also shows you people that are your friends with that are live, similar sellers. So it gives you lots of suggestions. So you don't even actually have to go search someone. Just scroll through the suggestions. All right. So that's how you do it. Let's see. It may be under more for raid. I'm not sure what Never Miss is saying. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for joining. Read the show notes. And if you have questions, put them in the chat with a question mark. Let me see if I missed any. Does that print? Oh, we talked about that one. Let's see. I think I either discussed or got through all the ones on here. So yeah, if you have new questions, just put a question mark in the chat so I try not to miss it. By the way, if you didn't know that you could do this, so I'm on a mobile device, right? See this little arrow above the chat? If you click that, it brings up a menu up here and you can sort questions out from the regular chat. So see how I did that? And then you can click that little arrow to go back. As a seller, how do I see poll results? When you end a poll, it shows you briefly what the results are, and you can take a screenshot really quick. But after that, it doesn't save them anywhere. So if you want to see your poll results right before you end the poll, it shows you, and then you take a screenshot real quick. So yeah. Welcome in, Busy Bee and Pampered Mom. Thanks for joining. Oh, Lynn's Vintage, that's so kind of you. Thank you so much for the tip. Appreciate that. So that's one of the things I was talking about, if you can't, because I have the problem, admittedly, that if I do a lot of networking, I end up spending a lot of money because I just start seeing things that I need, right? Not need. And so instead, budget for tips, because tips don't cost shipping, and you can do small tips while you network, and just, people notice that. And that's very generous. And oh, who is this? And what do they sell? And where, people notice. And that's a way to get noticed and not spend as much money if you buy. Does that make sense? So, networking, you can also just drop a few tips here and there and kind of spread the love. Is it imperative that you show your face during your auction? No, it is not imperative. However, it does help to make a more personal connection if you show your face from time to time or always. Just depends on what you sell also, because if you sell smaller items that need to have the camera more focused in, then you probably can show your face at the beginning and the end, but have the camera down, or use OBS where you can have, a split screen and show your face on top or in a box and then show your stuff up close. Although I haven't used OBS, I find it kind of annoying and it's glitchy. So, but you don't have to show your face. You can just show your items. I will say if you sell larger items, clothing, bigger things, I think it's going to be really tough to show without showing your face. Because people like to see the bigger picture. I even get annoyed in a lot of fabric shows if they're too zoomed in, because you can't really see the whole piece. So I think you need to be able to show the entire item. And if you're too zoomed in, that's annoying. So yeah. How long of a show and time length do you recommend? It depends on what you need to do. So, like I was saying, yesterday was a tough day. There were a lot of shows on, and I was having a hard time getting hardly anyone in my shows. And so we actually ended up staying. I usually do 3.5, 4 hours. That's my norm. We stayed on 6.5 to do what I like to do in a show, just because we didn't have a lot of people there. So, you do, the time is not, there's not a set magic time. It just depends on what your goal is, what you need to do. And sometimes you stay on longer just to get an audience. And that's how it is. So just decide. But a minimum of 1 hour. That's the bare minimum. You should never expect to be able to go on unless you're doing something special like a raid train, or a little giveaway raid, or something like that. But yeah, I think 2 hours. I agree with Like It Swipe It. If you're going to get any sales, that first hour is the magic. Actually get some people in your show when you're new, and then you've got to stay on another hour to get any sales. So minimum of 1 to get people in there, and 2 if you want to get any sales, and then probably 3 and 4 if you want to actually have a decent show. So, sometimes it's different. Sometimes, for whatever reason, nobody else is on, or not very many people are on, and you get a big audience and it goes great. And the very next day, it could be the complete opposite. That's the other thing that's a little bit frustrating about the way this app works, is you just never know what any show is going to be like from day to day. What do you need?
Do you have a measuring tape?
There's one right there. See that blue thing poking out?
That's not bad. Yeah, it's on.
There's some in the, if you open the car, there's some in the little cubbies in the doors, the metal kind. Sorry, my son showed up needing something. So yeah, if everyone's buying, I'm staying on. Exactly. Exactly. So, if you have one of those shows where it's just clicking and people are coming and people are buying, don't don't end the show, right? So yeah, but you've got to find what works for you. Exactly. Because it doesn't, what works for some people doesn't always work for you. You've got to figure it out. And I would highly suggest that you rewatch shows from time to time and think about what was working, what wasn't working, and start making notes. Oh, you did one at 2 a.m.? Holy cow. Yeah, you would be shocked at how many people are on the app buying at 2 in the morning. Now, you hope, the hope always is that they're legit sales, right? That they're not, sleepily and then they're going to cancel them all, right? Or, tipsy buys or whatever, but there's a lot of people that have weird schedules or they're insomniacs. Maybe they work night shifts and they're at work bored because whatever they do, everybody's asleep. Security people, nurses, stuff like that. So it just depends. He just set off my car alarm. Let me see if I have to have him. Hang on a second, you guys. My son just set off my car alarm. Give me a second. All right. Sorry about that. I'm back. I'm here. All right. I just got rated by Making Grace Vintage. Thank you so much for the raid. So let's share Making Grace's profile. Let me get back to where I can. Here we go. Making Grace is Jenica. And our next show is today at 3:45. Live from the bins. I love the live from the bins shows, you guys. Who has bins close enough? Ours is about an hour away, so I don't get there very often. But I'm kind of addicted to going to the bins. So it's probably good it's an hour away. So everybody give her a follow and bookmark that show later today. Give her some support. So Pixie says I'm a night owl, so I have thought about doing a late show. Yeah, if you're a night owl, I would honestly, because the night times are less, after about 10 to 11 o'clock Eastern, it starts to die down in every category. Some categories are still, you know, going strong, but most categories kind of die down. And there's an opportunity there to, you know, get some traction if you can do it. You just found your bin store this weekend? Oh, where do you live, Dawn? Yeah, I discovered the bin store. We lived in Tucson, Arizona, and I discovered the bin store in probably What year was that? Probably about 2014, 2015. And I was like, this is a freaking gold mine. And it was back then because not everybody knew about it. So, and I used to sell on another platform part time. And yeah, I started selling vintage and fabric and sewing patterns and stuff like that. And I did really well for a couple of years. And then that other platform kind of died. But I had a lot of fun at the bins. So yeah, yours is about 45 minutes away, but you just can't. Yeah, some people just can't do the bins. You got to be, you can't be a germaphobe, that's for sure. And, it depends. Some cities, the bins are really, 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 really gross. Like, I tried to go to the bins once in Seattle. Oh my gosh, no, too gross. Um, but I live in Utah. It's pretty low key. So yeah. Yeah, that's your problem. You're a germaphobe. Yeah, you can't do the bin store if you're germaphobe. I could tell you some fun stories about some stuff I found in the ones in Tucson. So yeah. Yeah. And that's fine, if you can't do it. And I don't source a lot of fabric there, because it's hard to find good stuff. But I have. You would be surprised because here's what happens. See, I live in Utah, right? And our bins in Salt Lake City covers the entire region of Utah, Idaho, Montana, parts of Wyoming. I mean, so they truck in stuff that's donated at Goodwills from all that region. And yeah, 2 hours away is probably not worth it. Yeah. Go every once in a while just for fun. But yeah. But what happens is someone will have, grandma passes away. She was a quilter, and Goodwill is too bogged down to actually sort through things. And I'll go to the bins one day and they've literally dumped boxes of brand new quilting fabric in bulk in the bins from grandma's stash. And I'll come home with, 2 or 3 bins worth of really nice quilting fabric that I just was able to pick right up. Right. So, yeah. And you pick it up for, and in our bin store, linens are the cheapest price. So anything fabric or linens is the cheapest price. Yeah. So, so you can get some good deals. But yeah, it's timing. You may or may not get there at the right day time to pick up a good deal. So, but I mostly source other kinds of stuff at the bins. And we actually get a lot of like merchandise where a store went out of business, liquidated, and you can pick up, a bunch of stuff that you get multiple units of. Oh, so like those. Oh yeah, R. Nickerson says I found Tim Holtz fabric and crafting supplies at the bins. Yeah, same. So, oh, yours is called Yabin and it's all new in package. Oh, interesting. So that's a different kind of thing. Yeah. Welcome in, barefoot hippie. Yeah, jackpot for sure, right? Yeah, I have some really good finds that I've grabbed before. Um, Probably let me think. Trying to think what my very best finds have been. One of my very best finds years and years ago, I went into the Goodwill bins in Tucson, and it's close to a lot of retirement communities. And someone had donated all their mom's clothing, and it was vintage clothing from the 60s, new with tag. and it was designer new with tag. I got some amazing, amazing pieces like Oscar de la Renta. Um, let's see what were some of the brands, but like these like super cool like mini dresses and flare pants that were all like brand new with tag, vintage. They were so dang cool, and I just sold them all. It was fun because that's not something I was going to keep and wear. But so yeah, like it, swipe it, said, or Dawn says my husband did not like it at first because he felt like a scavenger, but even though he won't admit it, he found things he likes. Yeah, Bert, my husband, is a total treasure hound. He loves to go hunt. He gets tired after a while, but he has so much fun hunting. So, oh, that's cool. They were doing denim jackets. That's cool. Yeah, you're leaving it for y'all. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, like I said, it's probably good that mine's a little bit further out because I would be there more often buying too much crap. So, yep, yep, yep. All right. Anyone have any questions or anything I missed? Let me just check questions, see if I missed anything. And Lynn's Vintage, you are so welcome. Thanks for being here. As a seller, how I answered that one. Program rate, I answered that one. Okay, I think we're all caught up with questions. All right, what does everyone need help with? What are your frustrations? Anything I can point you to get help? Make sure you're following the Whatnot Seller account. Their next show, I think, is, let me go look, because they're doing an update show that you don't want to miss. It might actually be tomorrow. Let's see. So Whatnot Sellers. So, oh, I missed the one. Was it yesterday? No, I thought they had an update show. Did I miss it? I'm sad if I missed it because I love those shows. Huh. Because what is today's date? Today's the 7th. I could have swore they had one on the schedule for the 8th. So they must have moved it. Maybe they weren't ready to do it. So the next update show is on the 5th. So yeah, it looks like the next show is on the 22nd. They're going to be interviewing Moms and Crumbs. If you sell in clothing, don't miss that show, Moms and Crumbs. It's so amazing to get to pick the mind of successful sellers and learn some of their tips. So that's this show on the 22nd. Okay, don't miss it. They're just good anyway because you get to pick the brain of someone. You get to see them interview someone who is an amazing seller, and you just get all kinds of good ideas and tips and things that really make you think. So yeah. Finds by LaFonda. Good morning. How am I able to do talk shows and not sell show? I get mixed answers that if you're not selling while live, Whatnot kicks you off. Well, this is a community chat, and I do have things for sale. So I always have things available in my buy it now. So that's technically for sale, right? So you're allowed to do that. You just need to have some stuff in your buy it now. Because that is true. Terms of service says you have to have things for sale. So I'm doing a community chat. If someone wants to buy something out of the buy it now, they can. So yeah. So, and I can even run flash sales. So let me see if there's something in my chat. The taffy is something people might want to buy. So I could run that. This is my candy that we sell that is available only in Utah. Well, fresh from the factory in Utah. You can order it online or there's a few places that carry it. It's not letting me flash sale it on here. Not sure why. Probably because I set it up on web version. That is one glitch about flash sales. If you set it up on web version, you have to run it from web. If you set it up on mobile, you have to run it from mobile. So I can't always remember the ones I set up on mobile because I set up most of my flash sales on the web version. Hey, Moon and Honey, new seller, baby kids Y2K. Oh yeah, we were shouting out earlier. So everybody give Moon and Honey a follow. She's got a first show coming up. So give her a follow and bookmark that first show. Yes, I am getting in steps. That was the beauty of this idea because I was like, I walk on my treadmill and I shop on Whatnot because I'm always on there watching other people's shows. And then the light bulb went off, and I'm like, oh, I should be chatting, going live, helping other people instead. Then I won't spend as much money. So it's kind of self-serving in that sense. But I've enjoyed so much coming on here and chatting and helping people. And I have all those documents that you can screenshot and, all my tips and tricks sheets and my show notes. So yes, I enjoy doing it. It's definitely a love language for me to help other people be successful. So I enjoy doing that. And you are welcome. So yes, please shout yourself out, share your shows, please follow each other. That's one of the best things you could do in these shows is just start networking here and start branching out. So get some people in here to be friends with. Okay. Yes, you're so welcome. Samaris Am. Let me let me give you a follow. Tell us what you're doing. So nothing for sale yet. Are you approved to sell? Are you going to start selling? Samar Isam. Did I say that right, Samar? Pixies, Patina. Yes, sharing my documents. I love to do that. I put them together. I need to improve some of them and update a few of them. I'll work on getting that done, a couple of them, because some of them are a little bit boring. One of my tips is start doing more with your thumbnails. And you can use Canva or a similar type software that has AI, and you can generate the most amazing thumbnails and videos. And in fact, let me shout someone out that has come into my seller chats that took this to heart. And her thumbnails are amazing, you guys. So go search. Well, I'll show you on screen, but the Lucy Lou sells in my category in fabric and stuff. And she took that to heart. Go to her page and look at some of her amazing thumbnails. And she has videos that on a lot of hers where it transitions. Look at this one. Isn't that amazing? So it's like the thumbnail and then it transitions right to the video, and they're super cool. And then she actually runs a horse sanctuary. Look at some of these videos and see how it goes, transitions from the thumbnail right into the video. Is that not amazing? You guys are hilarious. Because you guys do your heads on all these different bodies. Let me show you, like it, swipe it. Yeah, are hilarious. So thumbnails, you guys, make a huge, huge difference. So let me pull up theirs. Yeah, you guys, I always laugh my head off looking at your thumbnails. So yeah, here we go. It's the many faces of like it, swipe it. Look at the next one. Tea party. You guys are hilarious. And then, of course, you've got, some other stuff. But yeah, bring it with the thumbnails. That one's hilarious. It's like the women's suffrage, and they're in the. That one's great. Yeah, you guys are hilarious with your thumbnails. Love it. I swear people will come to your profile just to see what thumbnails you've got and what you've put on there. And look, they're doing a fabric feud raid train. How did I not get invited for that? How fun is that? Fabric feud raid train. What how are you doing the fabric feud? Like, what do you do? Trying to think. Family feud. So the host asks questions and you have to come up with the top 10 or top 5 answers. Oh, that looks like fun. See, all these creative ideas. Super fun. All right. Yeah, they're hilarious. So yeah, really, really do a lot of stuff with your thumbnails and your video, because you can do a video. Does everyone know that you can do a video? So you can put your thumbnail on there, and right next to it, you can put a video. It has to be pretty short, like under 30 seconds, but have your thumbnail transition to a video. And I mean, it can be as simple as just showing what you have available for that show, that it will entice people to want to come, right? And then your title needs to be on point. And I would suggest using your title more carefully to entice people with a starting bid, with more specific than just baby clothes or, fabric or whatever. Be specific about what type, brand, all the good stuff, so that it entices people to go check and see what you have. So always utilize that thumbnail and that title to your best advantage. Welcome in, everybody. Better days ahead. Welcome in. Better days. 1229. Welcome in. Starlight is here. Let's see. I told the group you might want to join. Well, yeah. Heck yeah, that would be hilarious and fun. But, it's okay if it's all full. So, Cheap Girl started it. Okay. Oh, yeah, I saw that on the thumbnail. Oh, everyone has their own theme. How fun. Yep. Oh, I can call you Sam. Welcome, Sam. That was Samaria or Samari, whatever it was. Sam. That's much easier. Welcome in. All right. Any questions you have, just put question marks on it so we can see it. You're about to upload a new thumbnail. Oh, you worked an hour on it? Holy cow. A new one for the family or the fabric feud show. So I'll have to go check it. That's fun. Yeah, I'll be honest, I spend a little bit too much time creating thumbnails, just because I'm kind of a techie nerd, and I love AI and how you can use it to create things. And you tweak it by how you word it, and you can create some amazing thumbnails. So I just use Canva and use the AI feature on there. Yeah, so you can use Canva. You can also use ChatGPT. You can use other software that have AI. And you literally just tell it what you want and what you want it to say, and it generates images for you, and then you can tweak them. And you can do in, 5 seconds what would normally take a graphic, a very talented graphic artist, digital artist, hours and hours to create. So, yeah, you spend more time on that than listing items. Can I tag a link for Chat GPT? You can't well, I could put a link, but it's not clickable because they don't allow clickables. But it's just, let me see if I can show you. Oh, it's on my other phone. Someone maybe put it in. Hey, got no money. It's just an app that you download called Chat GPT. Just go look it up on the App Store. Dynamic Thread said, I spent an hour on Canva, still not able. Go watch. There are videos for Canva, but you'd literally just go to the home button and then create. I think it's AI. Use AI. Create an image. Make sure you use either the square 1:1 or the 3:4 for the rectangle size. You got to change the size so it'll fit the thumbnail. I use 3:4 for thumbnails, and I use 1:1 if I'm doing a square image. And then you just tell it what you want and generate something. It is worth it to, yeah. So underneath the window where you type in your description, there's a little thing in the lower left to change the size of the image. So you need to tap that and change it to 3:4, which is the rectangle thumbnail. So 3:4. It's like three semicolon or not semicolon colon 4. That's the 3:4 size image. Yeah. You use 4:6 for the thumbnails. Which software are you using? Because on the not on Chat GPT, on Canva, when you're generating an image, it's in the digital format. So it's 1:1 is square, 3:4 is the rectangle size. So use Canva mostly, yeah. Oh, but you're actually doing the work. You're creating the image, right? So you're doing the 4:6 size, yeah, custom, yeah. So the 3:4 is the equivalent of a 4:6 because it's the digital dimension. Yeah. Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. Yeah, just go play around with it. I mean, you can't hurt anything. And if you pay for the Canva, to upgrade to the paid version, it's well worth it. I mean, I use it almost daily to do things. Yeah, it's well worth your money because you have extended ability and features. So, and what is it, like 30 something a year? I mean, it's well worth your money to pay for the pro version. Yep. All right. What time is it getting to be? I need to go pretty soon. So, anyone have any burning things you want to talk about, things you need help with? You are so welcome. Yeah, and just make sure you screenshot all the stuff in my auction tab. So all those tips and trick sheets about different topics, some are multi-page. Oh, you just uploaded a new video on that Few Train. Let's go check it. So like it, swipe it. Heading over there to see what they just dropped on the, look at this. So that Fabric Feud. Let's sit there for a second, see if it goes to the video. The video is not popping up. Let me click it and see if it shows the video. Well, it's showing it when I click it, but not when I just, look, she's got, Wow, that's very detailed. Like little fairyland, fairy fox, little like robot alien dude. I don't know. I can't see it very well because I had to go into the show to make it work. Usually, if you just sit there for a minute, the video starts playing. Robot fairy. How to get buyers to room does promoting work. It depends on the category you're in, and you just have to try it. Honestly, that's the best advice I can give. Try it, and then look at the analytics and see if it was worth it. In my opinion, in my category, it really hasn't made a difference to promote because I've tried it a couple different times. I would say all the other things I do make a much bigger difference, but you can try it. So, um, if you have the budget and you just make it part of your budget, it can help for sure, you know, but you just got to make sure it makes sense. As I do know people in like clothing categories that promote every single show and they swear by it. But I know people in other categories who've tried it, and it just doesn't make enough of a difference to be worth their money. So that's what I can tell you about promoting. So very cool. It tells you on the analytics how many people came in from the promotion and if anyone bought. It tells you right in the analytics. So it'll tell you how many people swiped in on the promotion, and then it will tell you if any of those converted into buyers. So, yeah. So you go to Seller Hub and Marketing Promotion Analytics, and it'll tell you. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for coming in. It was fun to have you. Keeps the chat lively. You had a lot of fun comments. Thanks for being here. Have a great day. All right. Any other questions? Anything anyone needs to ask about? On the 15th of October, we're having the community support sponsored show about attracting that for that one. I won't be on the treadmill. And let me just show you the thumbnail for that one. The ones I do this is my thumbnail. Oh, thank you for the tip. That was very generous of you. Have a great day. So we're going to talk about attracting and keeping buyers. So we're going to go through my 5 F's very, very thoroughly. I'm going to have some homework for you. We're going to talk about all the different tips for what to do to attract and keep people in your shows. And the answer for that is not a one size fits all. So we're going to kind of talk that through and help you figure out how to figure out what that means for you. So if you want to come to that show, it's at 7 a.m. my time, Mountain Time, on the 15th. It's a Wednesday morning. All right. Let me go start browsing for who we can raid into because I need to get going here pretty quick. So let's see. There's not a community show to raid into. We'll probably raid into a fabric show in my category. Let's see if anyone else is doing anything. Well, we could join the fray on Corey Max, but he's doing one of his giveaway shows. Let me see if he's in Walmart giving stuff away. It's not showing me what he's doing. Yeah, he's in Walmart giving money away. Have you ever watched Corey Max do that? He literally goes into Walmart and just pays for people's stuff to celebrate. He just hit 1,000 followers. So mixed reviews on him. He's a little bit rough around the edges and has some ideas that I don't love, but he's definitely a successful seller. All right, so let's go raid probably into a quilting fabric show. Let's see who's live. Someone I haven't rated before. How about Shab and Sassy? I've never rated them. They're doing kid themed fabric and more. So let's go right into them. And they've just got 6 people in this show. So give them some love. Stick around for just a minute. Say hi. Do a little bit of networking. And Shab and Sassy is where we're going. All right, let me get back into here before. All right, you guys have a wonderful day. And we'll be doing our estate sale later today. If anyone wants to drop in there, we're selling wool and wool, felted wool, wovens, woolies type flannels. If you're a fabric person, here we go over to Shab and Sassy. Thanks, everyone. Have a marvelous day. Thanks again for the tips and for being here.